I worked for my best friend's company for 12 years. Then he fired me without warning, but he never expected what I'd do next. For 12 years, I helped build my best friend's company from the ground up. I was there when it was just an idea. I put in the late nights, the sweat, the sacrifices. And when it finally became $1 million business, he fired me. No warning, no severance, nothing. "It's just business, man," he said. Fine. If that's how he wanted to play it, I made a choice. No more loyalty, no more friendship. And when he realized what he had lost, it was already too late. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. 12 years. That's how long I worked for my best friend, Jason. When he first came to me with his big idea, the business was nothing. Just an idea in his head and a rough plan on paper. But he needed help. Someone who knew operations, logistics, and how to actually run things. And me? I had experience. I had a stable job at the time, but Jason convinced me to take a chance on him. "This is going to be huge, man," he promised. "I just need someone I can trust to help me build it." And I believed him. I quit my job and joined him as his first employee. No benefits, no job security, just faith that we could build something great together. And for years, we did. I worked my ass off. Late nights, early mornings, solving problems while he made the big picture decisions. I handled everything: hiring, finances, partnerships, negotiations. And when the business finally took off, Jason was everywhere, giving interviews, shaking hands, being called a visionary CEO. And me? I stayed in the background, making sure everything actually worked. That was fine by me. I didn't need the spotlight. Jason and I were a team, or at least that's what I thought, until the day he fired me. No warning, no conversation. Just a cold corporate email that read, "We're restructuring the company, and unfortunately your position has been eliminated. We appreciate your contributions. Best of luck in your future endeavors." I read it 3 times, convinced it had to be some mistake. I had given everything to this company, and this was how he repaid me? I called him, furious. "Jason, what the hell is this?" His voice was calm, like he had already moved on. "It's just business, man. Nothing personal. Nothing personal." After 12 years of loyalty, that was all he had to say. I felt something snap. "All right," I said, my voice ice cold. "If it's just business, then don't take it personally when I do what I have to do next." And trust me, he never saw it coming. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at my laptop, boiling with rage. Jason had just tossed me aside like I was nothing. 12 years of work, 12 years of making sure his company didn't fall apart, gone in an instant. And for what? Because he didn't need me anymore? Because now that the company was thriving, he wanted all the credit for himself? I clenched my fists. Jason thought I'd just walk away quietly. That was his biggest mistake. Because if he thought I was going to roll over and accept this, he had another thing coming. I knew too much. I knew how the company worked. I knew the contracts, the suppliers, the key players behind the scenes. And more importantly, I knew its weaknesses. Jason might have been the face of the business, but I was the one who actually held it together. And without me, it was going to fall apart. I pulled up my contacts list. 12 years in the industry meant I had built relationships, real ones, suppliers, investors, employees. And guess what? Most of them liked me more than they liked Jason. I started making calls, first to the key suppliers, the ones that kept Jason's business running. "Hey, it's me. You probably heard, Jason let me go." "Yeah, out of nowhere. Listen, just a heads up. Things over there are about to get messy. You might want to rethink your contract before things start falling apart." Then I reached out to a few top employees. Jason had no idea how much of the team was loyal to me, not him. "Hey, just checking in. Hope things are going well." "Oh, you heard what happened?" "Yeah, total shock." "Listen, if I started something new, would you be interested?" Every single person I spoke to, they were pissed. Jason had burned bridges without even realizing it. And me, I was about to build something better. Because if Jason thought he could just replace me, he was about to learn a very expensive lesson. I wasn't just going to ruin his business. I was going to take everything he built, right out from under him. And the best part? He'd never see it coming. I spent the next week working in silence. No public posts, no angry rants, no messy confrontations. Because Jason, he expected me to be bitter but powerless. He thought I'd move on, tail between my legs, maybe find another job somewhere. But while he was busy patting himself on the back, thinking he had cut me out of the picture, I was building something new. I started reaching out to the right people, the ones who actually kept his business running, suppliers, investors, employees, and one by one, they started listening. Turns out I wasn't the only one Jason had screwed over. He had gotten cocky, greedy, started cutting costs, pushing bad deals, treating people like they were disposable, just like he did to me. And now, it was about to blow up in his face. I had lunch with one of our biggest suppliers, the one that handled a major part of Jason's production. We had always had a great relationship, because I had been the one managing that partnership for years. "Let me guess," the supplier said, smirking. "Jason thought he could handle things on his own?" I laughed. "Yeah, and now I'm offering you a better deal. A deal that was cheaper, smoother, and didn't involve Jason." By the end of the meeting, the supplier was on my side, and that meant Jason just lost his biggest resource. Next, I met with a few key employees, not just random staff, the core team, the ones who actually made the company function. "You built that business," one of them told me. "Jason just took credit for it." "You leaving was the last straw," another added. "The guy's running the place into the ground. By the end of the week, I had half of his team ready to walk out. Jason thought he could just cut me out and keep moving. But now, his company was bleeding, and the best part? He had no idea it was me. Not yet, because I wasn't done, not even close. I kept moving in silence, watching as the cracks in Jason's company spread like wildfire. At first, he probably didn't notice. He was too busy playing the CEO, attending fancy meetings, talking about his vision for the company. But then, things started going wrong. One of my old coworkers, someone still inside the company, called me up one night. "Dude, it's chaos over here," I smirked. "Oh? What happened?" The supplier just pulled out, completely. Jason came into the office screaming, demanding to know why. But the higher-ups won't tell him anything, just that things changed. I leaned back in my chair, satisfied. That was the first domino to fall. Jason was probably confused as hell. He had no idea I had set that up weeks ago. And the best part, there was nothing he could do about it. A few days later, I got another call. "Man, I don't know what's going on, but people are quitting left and right. Jason's losing his mind." I grinned. This wasn't just random turnover. These were his key people, the ones he had assumed would always be loyal. But loyalty, that's earned. And Jason, he had never earned anyone's loyalty. He had just assumed people would stay. Big mistake. Jason wasn't stupid. He might have been arrogant, but he wasn't clueless. After losing his biggest supplier and several key employees, he must have started putting the pieces together. Because one night, my phone rang. It was him. I let it ring, then ring again, then again. By the fourth call, I picked up. "Jason." His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the frustration underneath. "I know what you're doing." I laughed. "What exactly am I doing?" "Don't play dumb with me, man. First the supplier backs out. Then people start quitting. I know you're behind this." I leaned back in my chair. "Sounds like your company has a lot of problems, Jason. Maybe you should have kept better relationships with people." His breathing was sharp, angry. "Look, whatever grudge you have against me, let it go. We had a good thing. But this? You're taking it too far." That made me laugh. "Too far?" I repeated. "You mean like firing your best friend over email, without severance, without a conversation?" He went quiet. "That was just business," he muttered. I let that sit for a moment. Then I said, "Exactly," and hung up. He wasn't ready for what was coming next. Because the best part? I wasn't just breaking his company apart. I was building something better, and I was about to take everything. Jason didn't call again. Maybe he thought ignoring me would somehow stop the damage. Maybe he thought he could fix things before they got worse. But he had no idea. I wasn't done yet. Because while he was scrambling to hold his business together, I was already building my own. I had spent over a decade making his company a success. Now, I was going to take everything I had learned and make something even better. And this time, it would be mine. The first thing I did was secure funding. It wasn't hard. I had built strong connections over the years, and a few key investors had already reached out, asking what I was working on next. Turns out, a lot of people had been waiting for a reason to jump ship from Jason's company. I gave them one. The second thing, assembling a team. And not just any team. I handpicked the best people, the ones Jason had never appreciated, the ones he had overlooked, undervalued, or treated as expendable. They didn't hesitate. One by one, they left Jason behind to join me. I kept things quiet for as long as I could. I didn't want Jason getting wind of what was happening until it was too late. But eventually, he found out. I was sitting in my new office, my own office, when my phone buzzed. Jason. I stared at the screen for a moment, then answered. His voice was flat, but I could hear the tension underneath. I know about the company, I smirked. Which one? Mine or yours? Cut the crap, he snapped. You're poaching my people, my investors. What the hell are you doing? I'm doing what you did to me, Jason. Silence. This isn't the same thing, he muttered. Oh, it's exactly the same, I said. You built something and thought you could do it alone. You thought you didn't need me, so I left. And now people are realizing they don't need you either. He exhaled sharply. You're going to regret this. I chuckled. No, Jason, the only one with regrets here is you. Then I hung up. Jason thought he could get rid of me and keep everything else the same. Now he was realizing just how wrong he was, and soon, he wouldn't have anything left. Jason wasn't the kind of guy to go down without a fight. I knew that. So when I hung up, I expected him to try something. Maybe he'd attempt to sabotage my reputation, spread lies, or make desperate plays to keep his business afloat. But honestly, it was already too late. The moment I had secured the suppliers, the team, and the investors, I had already won. Jason's company wasn't built to function without me. He thought it could. He thought I was just another replaceable employee. But now he was realizing the hard way that I had been the backbone of his success all along. I focused on growing my own company. Every day more and more people started leaving his business for mine. Employees, clients, even smaller investors, people who trusted me, not him. And the numbers? They didn't lie. Jason's business was collapsing. Then one afternoon, I got a text from an old coworker. You should check the news. I frowned and opened my laptop. There it was, a headline. CEO of Jason's company faces internal crisis. Mass resignations and financial struggles raise questions about future. I clicked the article, scanning through it. It was bad. Jason had lost key contracts after suppliers backed out. Investors were pulling their money. The staff was bleeding out. And the best part? He had no idea how to fix it. It was happening faster than even I expected. A week later, I got another call. Jason, again. I let it ring and ring and ring. Then I picked up. His voice was shaky this time. I need your help. I almost laughed. Help? I repeated. Jason, I thought this was just business. He let out a breath. Look, I screwed up, all right. I should have handled things differently. But you and I built this company together. You can't just let it fall apart. I smirked. Oh, I'm not letting it fall apart, Jason. Then what do you call this? He snapped. I call it consequences. Silence. Then finally he asked the question I had been waiting for. Can we work something out? I leaned back in my chair. I had him. He was desperate. But me? I wasn't stupid enough to ever work for him again. I was better than that. Sorry, Jason, I said. I'm too busy running my own company now. Then I hung up, and just like that, I was free. After I hung up, I half expected Jason to call again, to beg, to offer me some half-assed deal to come back and fix things. But he didn't, because he knew. He knew I wasn't coming back. And now he had to watch as everything he thought he built slipped through his fingers. Meanwhile, my company, it was thriving. I wasn't just building a competitor, I was building something better, more efficient, more ethical, a company where people actually wanted to work. And the best part? I was using everything I had learned from Jason's business to do it. I didn't make the same mistakes he did. I treated people right. I listened. I built a team that actually believed in the company, not just the paycheck. And that's why my business was growing, while his was collapsing. Then, one day, I got an email from Jason. It was short. No greetings, no fake friendliness, just, I need to sell. Are you interested? I stared at the screen, letting it sink in. Jason had finally broken. His company was done. He had run out of money, out of people, out of options. And now he wanted me to buy him out, to take his company, his legacy, everything he had ever bragged about, and make it mine. I thought about it for a long time, not because I needed his company, but because of what it would mean. The final nail in the coffin, the ultimate lesson. Jason had fired me over an email. Now, I was about to return the favor. I hit reply and typed just 2 words. Not interested. Then I hit send. And just like that, Jason was done. For good. After I sent that email, I expected Jason to fight back, to call, to argue, to try and salvage whatever dignity he had left. But he didn't, because there was nothing left to fight for. I had outplayed him, and now he had to live with it. For the next few weeks, I barely thought about Jason at all. I was too busy running my own company, hiring the best talent, signing new deals, and securing contracts that Jason used to have. He had made one fatal mistake. He thought he could build a business alone. But the truth was, I was the one who built it, and now that I was gone, it was only a matter of time before his company collapsed completely. Then, one afternoon, I got a text from an old coworker. "You're not going to believe this," I smirked. "Try me. Jason's company just filed for bankruptcy." I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. It was over. For real this time. I pulled up the news, and sure enough, there it was. Jason's company officially closes doors after financial crisis. It was surreal. The business we had spent years building, the one Jason had kicked me out of without a second thought, gone. And me? I had moved on. I had built something bigger, stronger, smarter. I wasn't just a former employee anymore. I was a CEO, a real one. Jason had thought he could cut me loose and keep moving, but in the end, I didn't lose everything. He did, and he had no one to blame but himself. Jason disappeared after that. No more social media posts, no more public appearances, no interviews about being a visionary CEO. It was like he had just vanished. Meanwhile, my company, it kept growing. We landed bigger clients, expanded into new markets, and brought in top talent, some of whom had left Jason's company after he burned them. One day, I was at a networking event when someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. It was Jason. He looked rough, not homeless or anything, but definitely not the guy he used to be. No expensive watch, no designer suit, no arrogant smirk. Just a guy who had lost everything. "Didn't think I'd see you here," he muttered. I shrugged. "I actually work in this industry, Jason. You know, the one you got kicked out of." His jaw tightened. "I didn't get kicked out." I raised an eyebrow. "Right, you just happened to go bankrupt and disappear overnight." He exhaled sharply. "Look, I know you don't owe me anything. I know I messed up. But I'm trying to get back on my feet. I was hoping you could—" I cut him off. "No," he blinked. "You don't even know what I was going to ask." "Doesn't matter," I said. "If it involves me helping you in any way, the answer is no." His face twisted in frustration. "Come on, man. You have everything now. Your company's killing it. It wouldn't hurt you to at least hear me out." I smirked. "You're right. I do have everything now. And you know why? Because I worked for it. Because I didn't screw over the people who helped me. Because I didn't fire my best friend over email and act like it was just business." Jason looked away. "I was stupid," he admitted. "I should have treated you better." I sighed, looking at him for a long moment. Then I said, "Yeah, you should have." I didn't wait for him to say anything else. I just walked away. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger or resentment or regret. I just felt done. Jason had made his choice, and now he had to live with it. I didn't look back. Jason was just a ghost now, a reminder of who I used to be, of the loyalty I had wasted on someone who never deserved it. I had spent years believing we were a team, that we had built something together. But in the end, Jason was never a leader. He was never a real CEO. He was just a guy who got lucky. And when he cut me out, he cut out the only thing that had kept his company alive. Now, he had nothing. And me, I had built something real, something that would last. I got in my car, drove home, and sat in my office, the one I had earned, the one Jason had never wanted me to have. I opened my laptop and pulled up my company's latest reports. Growth was steady, profits were up. The future looked better than ever. I leaned back and exhaled, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Jason thought he had won when he fired me, but in the end, he wasn't the one who got the last laugh. I was. Some people think success is about who gets ahead first, but the truth, it's about who can keep going. Jason thought he was the smartest guy in the room. He thought he could fire me and keep all the rewards for himself. But success isn't about stealing credit. It's about who actually does the work. And when the work stopped, so did his business. Have you ever had someone try to take credit for your hard work? Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.